Hey upper cervical families, Dr. Tedder here with Upper Cervical Chiropractic, and I wanted to give you guys part 2 of my experience with Dr. Manias and the blood work and the functional medicine she's doing with me. So I wanted to really give you guys a quick cap of what took place so you understand what exactly happened and why I went there. So Dr. Manias and I have been working together now for 2 years with Atlanta Weight Loss and Body Balance, if you guys are familiar with that name. Doing great, helping people lose weight, helping get their life back, get off blood pressure meds, all these different things. But what I didn't realize is how smart Dr. Manias was and how her training was so extensive. So we decided to add on and rebrand Atlanta Weight Loss to Atlanta Integrative Wellness Centers. Why? Because she can do so much more. And it's funny how God just kind of crossed our paths, because if you don't know, Dr. Susan Manias cured herself of multiple sclerosis with upper cervical care and her care. So what we did with me is the same thing. I wanted some blood work because over the last 6 months, some really weird things for such a healthy guy started happening with me. And as you guys know, man, I take care of myself really, really good, but what was happening is this. I started getting moody. And what I mean by moody was not like a little 3-year-old kid, but I really just got to where I wasn't participating in life. I would just go through my day and not talk, not do anything, right? And so what ended up happening was I just started getting where I was like becoming a hermit. Not my personality. Secondly, I started getting extreme fatigue. I couldn't make it through the afternoon without having to take a nap, or wanting to at least take a nap. I never got to, but I couldn't get to where I was wanting to take. I wanted to take a nap for 3 or 4 hours at a time, wake up, eat dinner, and go right back to bed. Not me. I started having a lot of food allergies. I was eating more and more things that my body didn't agree with. So I was actually getting to a point where I could not eat anything, even if it was healthy. No matter what it was. I pretty much got everything out of my diet because everything I ate gave me a stomach ache. I started getting real pain, muscle pain and weakness in my joints, foggy brain, and then unexplained weight gain. I don't mean like fat weight, but like water retention and then puffiness. My body started to swell 10 or 15 pounds one way or the other. And as you guys have seen in my eyes right now, or even seen me as a patient, in the office, you'll see that my face, it just is, it's puffy. So if you can't see right there, see, puffy. So I wanted to see blood work done. So I ran almost $3,000 worth of blood work. Yes. Why? Because I wanted to know everything. And here's what we found. We found that my blood sugars were extremely high, pre-diabetic. I wasn't diabetic, but pre-diabetic. Pretty unique for a guy who works out sometimes twice a day, eats and measures his food on a regular basis, and has no pre-existing diabetes in the family. My LDL levels, my cholesterol levels were normal. My cholesterol particle size was normal. All my cholesterol was normal except for LDL, which means my medical doctor, if I would have went to one of those guys, would have put me on a metformin for diabetes, and they would have put me on prescription cholesterol drugs for the LDL, when you'll see in just a minute it had nothing to do with my cholesterol or my diabetes. My adrenal glands were shot. My adrenal glands were giving me no energy. They were not keeping me sustained. It was messing up my hormones. They were on the floor. They weren't working at all. My adrenal glands were not working at all. My homocysteine levels were through the roof. Homocysteine measurements are really good for people who have high risk of heart attacks, high risk of inflammation in the body. Really, that's what that is. My body was so inflamed that it just couldn't come down. Like, it's pretty much like having heartburn on overdrive, but all over my entire body. My thyroid was in normal limits, but at the very rock bottom of normal limits. By the way, the medical doctors would have missed homocysteine. What they would have also missed is they would have missed my thyroid and said my thyroid was okay. And my adrenal glands, they would have just not read at all. And I'll get to a minute why I keep telling you that. I also found that we did some food sensitivity tests and found that my body was only absorbing 12% of what I ate. So every vitamin, every mineral, every supplement, every food I was in, I was only absorbing 12%, and my body was getting rid of 8, or actually holding on to it, which is the swelling I was talking about. So that what was happening was even though I was working out, eating well, and doing all these things, my body couldn't repair, couldn't fix. The second thing I found is I had leaky gut. So again, another reason why my body wasn't absorbing. My DHEA, my testosterone, I did my hormone panel as well. My testosterone was good, normal for my age bracket, but my DHEA was all the way on the ground, which is my hormones for creating brain function, creating hormone function, creating thoughts, repair, immune system. It was on the floor. Because it was on the floor, my estrogen was through the roof. I was actually having almost a female level of estrogen. And I don't know if you guys know this, but that's a breeding ground for cancer in the future. I was not methylating. That's a word you guys have probably never heard of. I'll get more videos on that, but I wasn't methylating at all. What methylation is your body's ability to reduce oxidative stress in the body, decrease inflammation, repair the immune system. Methylation is a very important hormone pathway in the brain and in the body and in the cell that if it's not working right, you can eat the healthiest diet in the world, but you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And that's exactly what was happening with me. So I was not methylating. My hypothalamic pituitary axis was not firing as well. I'm not going to go into the science of that, but that just basically means all my hormone centers were not communicating together. And this is why my body was gaining water weight. I was swelling. I'm not absorbing food. My thyroid's overfiring. My adrenal glands are bursting out. So the question is how the heck did a healthy guy who takes care of himself, gets adjusted on a regular basis, how does that happen? 2 reasons. 8 years, I've had 8 years now, almost 9 years of some personal stress, personal relationship stress with some people in my life that is extremely toxic, and I've been taking that on. I've been taking it on personally, professionally, and I've just allowed it to eat me up. So emotional traumas. And I got to tell you right now, you guys are patients in my office, and we always talk about physical traumas, which is like misalignments and spine related, but people don't realize that emotional traumas weigh heavier on the body's health than even physical traumas. And second to that, I've also put in 12 to 14-hour work days, at least 4, if not 5 days a week for the last 12 years of my life. I work from 4 o'clock in the morning until sometimes midnight at night constantly. Most of you guys don't realize that. I run several different companies and it's constant. I even have a partner out in California, so my nights don't end at 6 o'clock. Sometimes they end at 10 or 12 at night. So the reality is that 12 to 14-hour days for the last 10 to 12 years have weighed heavy on me. And so what ended up happening was just a big result of emotional stress is really what's caused these to come out of whack. So what it came down to, according to Dr. Susan, what I want to explain to you is this, is medically, if I would have gotten this blood work, if they would have taken this blood work and read it, they would have just said, hey, you're 40. That's what happens when you're 40. You just kind of start breaking apart. Next to that, your sugars are high, so go on some blood sugar drugs. And then here's some cholesterol medications because your LDH is high. And the rest of it, just change your diet. That would have been the traditional medical answer. I've been living on prescription drugs. Here's the problem. It would have never gotten to really what was going on. So I would have kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker, which is what a lot of our patients are at. Like they've been on medications for 20, 30 years and they can't find an answer. They've gone to natural medicine, natural holistic doctors, and they're getting on all these other supplements. Or I've had people go to certain functional medicine clinics here in Atlanta and they spent $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 on these programs, and they're no better now than when they were before. Why? Because they're not getting to the cause. So here's the deal with Dr. Susan. As she read my blood work functionally, I have 1 or 2 major big issues. 2 major issues. Actually 3, I lied. Number 1 is my leaky gut. Leaky gut came from stress. And the leaky gut caused pretty much all the other stuff I just mentioned. My gut doesn't work. It does not absorb. It does not go down in inflammation. So we've got to get that fixed before you do anything else. And because my leaky gut's so bad, problem number 2 is my adrenal glands were never able to repair. My immune system is super weak because my adrenal glands never could repair my body. Thirdly, because of that, it's caused my hormones to go out of whack. My estrogen's high, my DHEA is low, and so ultimately that's what's giving me fatigue, muscle loss, things of that nature. The beautiful thing is we're going to change that. Dr. Benias has put me on a program. I'm following it for 6 months. I've been on it for 2 weeks. And in the last 2 weeks, I got to tell you, last 3 or 4 days, not last 2 weeks. I've been on the program for 2 weeks, but the last 3 or 4 days is when I've actually started to feel things. I've changed my diet around a little bit, but I was already eating healthy. I've increased my fat intake. That's the biggest thing for my hormone production. But I'll tell you what I've done is I've gone on her protocols, and I tell you, the last 3 or 4 days, my mental clarity is probably 30 or 40% better. I'm actually energetic. I'm actually staying awake till 11 or 12 o'clock at night, but energetic. I'm not hyper, but I've got energy. I can think. I can actually perform better. My days at the office are even better. So here's the solution. Obviously, upper cervical care is primary. I have to have upper cervical care. If I had not been under upper cervical care the last 15 years of my life, I got to tell you, my body would have been a lot sicker 10 years ago. I probably have been on depression drugs. I've probably been sick. I've probably been disabled, to be honest with you. But upper cervical care has kept my body working better. It's kept my immune system. Why? Because the brain stem is your primary computer. It tells the rest of the body what to do. It tells my adrenals what to do. It tells my cholesterol what to do. It tells all that stuff what to do. It's directionally. But when you add the stress on, my body can only go so far because the stress was so high, my body can only do so much with it. So number one, we've got to make sure I get checked on a regular basis, which I do. I get checked every week. I hold my adjustments weeks and months and almost a year at a time, but I get checked every week. Now, the first step with Dr. Manias, is she's going to fix my leaky gut. Why? Because I have to be able to absorb. I have to be able to decrease inflammation and absorb nutrients. So we don't go on a lot of supplements or anything. We don't go anything fancy. What I do is I just stick to my clean eating. I eat clean. I eat a protein, a fat, and a veggie twice a day, and I intermittent fast. I drink about 1.5 gallons of water a day. But then what we do is we've got to fix my leaky gut. So we're starting with the gut first. Once we get my body to absorb, then we're going to also increase methylation. I'm going to increase my cellular, I'm going to increase the way my body communicates together through methylation. You have to have proper methylation pathways, or your hormones, your cell structures are all damaged and they won't work. So we're going to increase my cell function through methylation. Then what we do is we're then going to fix my adrenal glands. Why? These actually two are fixing my adrenal glands, but once we get these corrected, then my adrenal glands can be worked on. And once I get my adrenal glands working on, guess what happens? My blood sugars go down, my thyroid goes up, my cholesterol LDL goes down because there's not inflammation anymore. I increase HDA, I increase my DHEA, I decrease my estrogen. I get my body back into a rhythm the way God created it to, because now guess what? The stress isn't there anymore. And even if the stress was there, I've now fixed it so my body can hold that and withstand that. Does that make sense? So what we're doing is we're getting to the cause of why my body's dysfunctional. We're correcting it so that then my body can function on its own again without I don't need a bunch of supplements. I won't need a bunch of fancy diets. I won't need all this stuff if I can maintain the 80-20 rule, which is you're a patient, you know. So why I'm telling you this, I am absolutely convinced in my office now that I've gotten blood work done that every human being on the planet should have blood work done on a regular basis, especially if you're over the age of 35. I think you should have blood work done. I think you should have it done every year, but I think it should be read functionally, not medically. Medically means nothing. They miss things all the time, but reading it functionally, figuring out functionally what's the body doing. And hey, if you're normal, you don't need anything. But guess what? You don't know until you can measure. I have people going on certain pills and certain supplements and certain this and certain that, and they don't need it. Their body can't even utilize it. Be honest with you, that's what I did. So I won't do it anymore. I'm not going to recommend anything to a patient outside of normal, like zinc and vitamin C's and things like that, boost your energy and your immune system. But your body, if it's constantly sick or it's constantly broken down, you've got to get some blood work done. And if you're over the age of 35, you should do it anyway, because optimal hormone production, optimal pituitary thyroid function, optimal methylation pathways, and a healthy gut is just as equal to importance as the brainstem and getting your body well. So we are now strategic partners with Dr. Susan. If you don't know that already, Dr. Susan does see our clients. If you're a patient in our office and you want her to measure you, call her. The number's in the email below, or at 678-335-4925 or atlantaintegrative.com. But call her, ask me, ask Dr. Cave, ask the girls up front. Let's get you over there and have a consultation. There's no charge. If you need care, she gives you discounts on blood work, and she also offers a huge discount on any care recommendations if you're a patient in my office. So I want to encourage you to do that if you've never had it done, just because I want you guys to be the healthiest human beings on the planet. We want to transform the way that the healthcare system is being utilized. There's so many sick, stinking people out there, and they don't know where to turn. They think just because they're on a medication and they don't have the blood work's normal, that they're normal. Not true at all. Absolutely not true at all. And if you think that, then you'll be the next statistic. You will be the 5 out of 6. The 5 out of 6 people who die of cancer or heart disease or a stroke, and also diabetes, which now is coming up as quicker than cancer, and hitting our kids. Our kids are sicker than ever. We're the first generation of children that are actually going to the parent's going to outlive the kid. Why? Because our kids are so much sicker than our parents. So sorry for the long video, but this is part 2. I will add part 3, 4, and 5. Please contact Susan if you haven't. Let's get you there. Let's get you taken care of. And keep up with your upper cervical, because that's something I did do, and it saved me from being a lot sicker than I am. We love you. We appreciate you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.